Welcome to Martha Family Secrets Stories. There are moments that crack something open inside you so completely and so quietly that the room keeps moving around you while you sit perfectly still, and nobody notices, and you do not make a sound, and something that had been holding its shape for 13 years finally stops pretending. That moment came for me on a January evening in a hotel ballroom, in a $42 clearance dress, watching my father accept an award for the 7 years he spent abroad building his career. The same 7 years I spent at home raising his daughter. He looked out at a room of 150 doctors and administrators in cocktail attire, leaned into the microphone, glanced in my direction, and said, "Our older daughter Sarah, well, she is a preschool teacher." Pause. Basically babysitting. The room laughed. A real laugh. 150 people finding that genuinely funny. He smiled and kept going. Finger paints, nap time, snack time, the whole thing. Not everyone can handle real medicine, but someone has to watch the toddlers while the rest of us work. More laughter. Louder this time. My mother smiled and nodded. My sister Melissa looked down at her plate and said nothing. I sat there with my hands folded in my lap and my face perfectly neutral, and I did not move. What my father did not know, what none of them knew, was that the woman 3 tables away had a folder. My name is Sarah. I am 31 years old. I have been a preschool teacher for 8 years. And this is the story of what was inside that folder. Please subscribe and like this video and listen to my story till the end, and let me know which city you are listening from. That way I can see how far my story has traveled. To understand what was in that folder, you have to start with a Tuesday afternoon in May of 2012 when I was 18 years old, sitting in the office of my high school counselor, Dr. Ellen Marsh, and she slid a large envelope across the desk toward me with a smile that made her eyes go bright. Full ride. 4 years. Everything covered. UC Berkeley. Dorm assignment included. Orientation scheduled for August 23rd. I had worked for that scholarship since freshman year. Straight A's. 2 AP classes. Tutoring after school 3 days a week. Berkeley had been the plan since I was 15. The thing I had been building toward, the door that was going to open into a life that was completely and entirely mine. Dr. Marsh had tears in her eyes when she handed me that packet. 3 weeks later, I walked back into her office and told her I could not go. She looked at me like I had said something in a language she did not speak. What do you mean you cannot go? My parents had accepted contract positions overseas. 7 years. They were leaving in June. My sister Melissa was 11. She could not go with them. Boarding school was too expensive. Someone had to stay. Dr. Marsh set her pen down very carefully. They are asking you to stay. Yes. For 7 years. Yes. She was quiet for what felt like a long time. Then she said, "Sarah, you are 18 years old." I know. This is a full scholarship to Berkeley. I know. She spent 2 hours trying to change my mind. She pulled up statistics. She talked about my future. She said the word sacrifice 14 times. I counted. But I had already decided. Melissa was 11 and someone had to stay, and I was the someone. Finally, Dr. Marsh asked me one last question. Does Melissa know you are giving this up for her? No. Are you going to tell her? No. Dr. Marsh looked at me for a long time. Then she did something I did not understand. She made a copy of my Berkeley acceptance packet. The scholarship letter. The housing assignment. The orientation details. She put them in a folder and wrote my name on the tab. Why are you doing that? I asked. Because someday, she said, someone might need to know what you chose and what you gave up. I did not think about that folder again for 14 years. Not until I was sitting in that ballroom watching my father accept an award for international medical service from 2012 to 2019. The exact same 7 years I had spent signing guardianship papers and making school lunches and paying for orthodontist appointments and teaching his daughter to drive. Let me tell you how it started. Summer of 2012. My parents sat Melissa and me down at the kitchen table. There was a contract on the table. My father had been offered a position as a lead surgeon at a facility overseas. My mother, an anesthesiologist, had been offered a position at the same place. A package deal. 2 years renewable. Exceptional pay. Tax benefits. Retire early. Once in a lifetime. That is great, I said. I meant it. Then my mother said, Melissa will stay here with you, Sarah. I remember the air going out of the room. What? She is 11. She cannot come with us. Boarding school is $20,000 a year and we will be paying rent on the overseas apartment and storing our things here. It does not make financial sense. You are both going? I asked. Of course, my father said. These are dual positions. For how long? The initial contract is 2 years, but if it goes well we will renew. Could be 5 years, could be 7. I got into Berkeley, I said quietly. My mother waved her hand. You can go to community college here and transfer somewhere local. I have a full scholarship, I said. Shelley, my father said, and his voice had that edge it got when he was done discussing something. Melissa needs stability. You are 18. You are responsible. This is what family does. I looked at Melissa. She was staring at her plate. She had not said a word. We will send $500 a month, my mother added. That should cover food and basics. $500 a month. For a child. In California. I did not know how to say no. I did not even know if I was allowed to. So I said yes. By June they were gone. My father's goodbye to me was a pat on the shoulder. My mother hugged Melissa for 5 minutes and cried. Then she hugged me for 10 seconds and said make sure she does her homework. And just like that I was 18 years old with an 11-year-old to raise. The first thing I had to do was get guardianship paperwork. Melissa needed to be enrolled in middle school. She needed a doctor. She needed someone who could sign permission slips and make medical decisions. I went to a notary at a shipping store on Telegraph Avenue. The woman behind the counter looked at the forms and then looked at me. You are the guardian? Yes. How old are you? 18. And the minor is your sister? Yes. Where are the parents? Overseas. Working. She stamped the papers. Temporary guardianship, valid for the duration of my parents' contracts. Renewable as needed. I signed my name 4 times. On every single form, next to the word guardian, I wrote my name. Sarah Melrose. I was 18 years old and I was legally my sister's mother. Now let me pause here for a moment because I need you to really sit with that image. An 18-year-old girl standing at a notary counter signing guardianship papers for her 11-year-old sister while her parents were on a plane to the other side of the world. Not because of a tragedy. Not because of an emergency. Because it was financially convenient. I want to stop here and ask you something honest. Have you ever given something up for your family and had it go completely unacknowledged? Have you ever shown up for people who never once showed up for you? If that is landing somewhere real in your chest right now, stay with me. Because what comes next is about 13 more years of exactly that. The apartment was a 2-bedroom in East Oakland. $1,200 a month in rent, which my parents covered. But they did not cover utilities. They did not cover food. They did not cover school supplies or clothes or field trip fees or orthodontist copays. $500 a month did not come close to any of that. I got a job at a coffee shop. 6 in the morning until 11, 4 days a week. Then I enrolled at the local community college. Classes from noon to 3, 3 days a week. Then I got a second job at a tutoring center. 4 in the afternoon until 8 at night. Melissa got home from school at 3:15. I calculated it down to the minute. If I left my last class at 3 and drove straight to the apartment, I could get there by 3:12. She would be alone for 3 minutes. 3 minutes, 4 days a week. I hated those 3 minutes. Melissa was good about it. She had a key. She knew to lock the door behind her. She knew not to answer if someone knocked. She knew to text me the second she got inside. Home, she would text. Good. Snack in the fridge. Homework at the table. I will be back at 8:30. Every single day I got home at 8:30 and she had her homework spread across the kitchen table. I made dinner. We ate. I checked her math. We watched one episode of whatever show she was into that month. Then I made her lunch for the next day and she went to bed. I stayed up until midnight finishing my own homework, slept until 5:30, did it again. People ask me what I remember most about those years. It is not the big moments. It is the small ones. It is signing the permission slip for her 6th grade field trip and writing guardian next to my name when I was 19 years old. It is sitting in a parent-teacher conference at 19 and having her English teacher say it is so nice to meet Melissa's mom, and me not correcting her because it was just easier. It is putting $20 a month on a payment plan for 2 years to cover her braces. $6,800 total. My parents sent $300 toward it once. I covered the rest. It is teaching her to make pasta from a box because that is what we could afford most nights. It is her crying about a boy in 8th grade and me sitting on her bed at 1 in the morning trying to figure out what to say, because I was 20 years old and I had never had time to date anyone seriously and I did not know how to tell a 13-year-old that boys were ridiculous without sounding like I had no idea what I was talking about. Which I did not. And if I am being honest with you, those nights on her bed were some of the most important of my life. Because she trusted me. She came to me. In her 11-year-old mind I was the person who would sit with her in the dark and I never once let that go. It is her asking when are mom and dad coming back and me saying I do not know because they had renewed their contracts for another 2 years and then another 2 after that and I had stopped keeping exact count. It is her asking why did you not go to Berkeley and me saying it was not the right fit for me. Because I could not tell her the truth. I could not tell her that I had given it up for her. That I was 18 and I had chosen her over everything I had worked for. That I did not regret it. But sometimes late at night when I was washing dishes and she was asleep and I had not spoken to another adult all day, I wondered what my life would have looked like if I had said no. I never told her any of that. I just said community college is fine and I will transfer eventually. I did transfer. To a state university when I was 23 and Melissa was 16. I finished my degree in child development in 2019. The same spring Melissa graduated high school. I walked across a stage at 25 years old, 7 years late. My parents did not come. They were back in the country by then. They had returned in late 2018. But Melissa had a formal event that same weekend. They went to that instead. And I actually laughed when I found that out. Not the funny kind of laugh. The kind that comes out when the universe does something so perfectly on brand for your life that your body does not know what other sound to make. I met my husband Daniel the year before my graduation. He was a paramedic. I had brought one of my preschool students to the emergency room after a fall and Daniel was the one who rode with us. After the child was stable and the parents arrived, he asked if I wanted coffee. I said yes. On our 3rd date he said, "You talk about your sister like she is your daughter." I laughed. What? No. She is my sister. I just helped out. You were 18, he said. They left you with an 11-year-old for 7 years. You did not help out. You were her parent. Nobody had ever said that out loud before. I started crying right there in the coffee shop. The kind of crying that surprises you, that comes from somewhere you did not realize was full. Daniel reached across the table and took my hand. Why am I crying? I said. Because someone finally said it, he said. He was right. Daniel and I got engaged in December 2023. We set the wedding for September 2025. Small ceremony. 60 people. Just family and close friends. I paid for it myself. $15,000. My parents did not offer to contribute. 2 weeks before the wedding I sent the final timeline to everyone. Ceremony at 3, cocktail hour at 4, dinner at 5, cake cutting at 5:30, first dance at 6. My mother called the day after I sent it. Sarah, we have a conflict. What conflict? Melissa's white coat ceremony is the next morning. We want to have breakfast with her before it starts. It is at 11 and we want to leave by 8 to avoid traffic. I looked at the timeline. The wedding ends at 8. You could leave Sunday morning at 8 and still arrive with over an hour to spare. We want to be rested. It is a big day for Melissa. It is my wedding day, I said. We will be there for the ceremony. We just cannot stay for the whole reception. I did not say anything. You understand, right? This is Melissa's career. Her future. I understand, I said. I did not. But I said it. September, my wedding day. My parents arrived at 3:18. The ceremony had started at 3. They missed me walking down the aisle. They sat in the back. My mother cried through the whole ceremony, which was something I suppose. At 4:37, before we had cut the cake, before the first dance, my father stood up. We need to head out. We have not cut the cake yet. That is at 5:30. It is a 2-hour drive. It is 93 miles. An hour 40. You could leave at 8 tomorrow morning and arrive 2 hours early. My mother put her hand on my arm. Do not make this difficult. We need to support Melissa. I looked at Daniel. His jaw was tight. He did not say a word because he knew I needed to handle this myself. Okay, I said. Drive safe. They hugged me. Quick. Efficient. Then they left. Melissa did not come to my wedding at all. She texted me that morning. So sorry, I cannot make it today. White coat rehearsal is mandatory and I am exhausted. You understand. Love you. Have the best day. The rehearsal was optional. 30 minutes long. It ended at 6:30 Friday evening. My wedding was Saturday at 3. She posted Instagram stories from a bar with her classmates at 9:47 Friday night. Daniel's mother Claire stepped in during the cake cutting. She stood next to us and smiled for the camera. Afterward she hugged me and whispered, I know I am not your mom, but I am here and I am not going anywhere. I tried not to cry. I did not really succeed. There were 2 empty seats at our family table for the rest of the night. Everyone saw them. Nobody said anything. I need you to hold on with me because you need to hear what happened when I saw my parents' Instagram the next morning. And what Daniel helped me build over the following 2 weeks that finally put a real number on 13 years of being invisible. Part 3 is coming and it is the part that finally made everything impossible to ignore. Stay with me. Okay, I said. Drive safe. They hugged me. Quick. Efficient. Then they left. Melissa did not come to my wedding at all. She texted me that morning. So sorry, I cannot make it today. White coat rehearsal is mandatory and I am exhausted. You understand. Love you. Have the best day. The rehearsal was optional. 30 minutes long. It ended at 6:30 Friday evening. My wedding was Saturday at 3. She posted Instagram stories from a bar with her classmates at 9:47 Friday night. Daniel's mother Claire stepped in during the cake cutting. She stood next to us and smiled for the camera. Afterward she hugged me and whispered, I know I am not your mom, but I am here and I am not going anywhere. I tried not to cry. I did not really succeed. There were 2 empty seats at our family table for the rest of the night. Everyone saw them. Nobody said anything. I need you to hold on with me because you need to hear what happened when I saw my parents' Instagram the next morning. And what Daniel helped me build over the following 2 weeks that finally put a real number on 13 years of being invisible. Part 3 is coming, and it is the part that finally made everything impossible to ignore. Stay with me. That phrase sat on me like something heavy. We need you there. Not we would love you to be there. We need you. The same language they had used in 2012 when they needed me to stay. You owe us this much, my mother added. You owe us 7 years. $37,000. 13 years of being the first call for every emergency. And I owed them. I will think about it, I said. Daniel looked at me from the couch when I hung up. You do not have to go, he said. He is getting an award for the years he left you to raise Melissa. I know. So why are you thinking about it? I did not have a good answer. Maybe I wanted them to see me just once. Maybe I thought that if I showed up for something that mattered to him, he would finally understand what I had given up. Maybe I was still 18 years old somewhere inside, signing those guardianship papers, believing that if I just did enough they would eventually love me the way they loved Melissa. I do not know, I said. Daniel did not push. He just said, I am working a 24-hour shift that day, but if you need me I will leave. Just text. I bought a dress. Navy blue. Target clearance. $42. January 22nd. The Hotel Grand Ballroom. 150 people in cocktail attire. I arrived alone. My family was already at the front table. My father in a tuxedo. My mother in a gown. Melissa in scrubs, straight from her clinical rotation, sitting next to a man I did not recognize. My place card said Sarah Malrose. They had misspelled my name. Oh good, you made it, my mother said when I sat down. She air-kissed my cheek. You look nice. That is a pretty color. Nobody asked about Daniel. Nobody asked about my job. Nobody asked about my life. I was a body filling a seat. The conversation moved around me for 2 hours like a river around a stone. Melissa's rotation, my father's award, my mother's kitchen renovation plans. I counted how many times they said Melissa's name during dinner. 14. They said mine twice. Both times to ask me to pass something. At 7:30 the ceremony started. My father was the third recipient. They played a video. 7 years of his work. Surgeries and conferences and clinic openings and residency teaching. 2012 to 2019. The same years I was signing field trip permission slips and checking homework at 8:30 at night. The video ended. The room applauded. My father walked to the stage and accepted his award. I could not have done this without my family, he said. My wife Diane, my partner in every sense. She supported me through those years abroad and continues to be my foundation. My mother smiled and dabbed her eyes. My daughter Melissa, brilliant, driven, following in these footsteps into healthcare. I could not be prouder. Melissa beamed. Then my father looked at me. And our older daughter Sarah. Well, she is a preschool teacher. Pause. Basically babysitting. The room laughed. Finger paints, nap time, snack time, the whole thing. Not everyone can handle real medicine, but someone has to watch the toddlers while the rest of us work. More laughter. Louder. My mother smiled and nodded. Melissa looked down at her plate. She did not say a word. I sat there. Hands folded. Face neutral. Not moving. My phone buzzed. Daniel. You okay? I did not respond. My father finished his speech to a standing ovation and walked back to our table shaking hands and accepting congratulations. My mother kissed his cheek. That was perfect, she said. I excused myself, walked to the bathroom, stood in a stall, and breathed. Basically babysitting. Not everyone can handle real medicine. Someone has to watch the toddlers. 7 years. He had just told 150 people that what I had done with 7 years of my life was babysitting. I went back to the table. The MC was at the podium. Our next speaker, he said, is Dr. Ellen Marsh, chair of the Marsh Foundation for Educational Equity. I looked up. Dr. Marsh. She was here. I had not seen her in 14 years. She looked older but entirely the same. Gray hair, sharp eyes, that expression she used to get when she was disappointed in someone but too composed to say so directly. She walked past my table, made eye contact with me, did not smile, just looked at me like she had heard every word. Like she had been waiting. Then she walked to the stage. "Good evening," Dr. Marsh said. "I am honored to speak with you tonight about something many in medicine overlook. The foundation of health does not begin in hospitals. It begins in the first 5 years of life. And the people doing that work, early childhood educators, are systematically undervalued, underpaid, and dismissed." She paused. I was a high school counselor for 23 years before I moved into education policy. I have worked with thousands of students, watched thousands of futures shaped by single decisions. And I have learned something important. The people we dismiss as basically babysitting are often the ones holding everything together. My father shifted in his seat. "I would like to tell you about one student. We will call her S." My heart stopped. Brilliant girl. Straight A's. 2 AP classes. Full ride scholarship to Berkeley, child development major. She was going to change this field. I could see it in the way she talked about children, about learning, about the systems that support families. She had it. 3 weeks after I gave her the acceptance packet, she came back to my office and told me she could not go. Her parents, both physicians, had accepted 7-year contracts overseas. Her younger sister was 11. Someone needed to stay. That someone was S. She was 18 years old. Dr. Marsh looked directly at our table. I tried to change her mind for 2 hours. I pulled up statistics. I used the word sacrifice 14 times. But she had already decided. She gave up Berkeley. She enrolled in community college. She got 2 jobs. She raised her sister. She signed guardianship papers. She became a legal parent at 18 years old, and she did that for 7 years while her parents built their careers abroad. My mother's face had gone completely white. S eventually finished her degree, 7 years late. She became a preschool teacher. An excellent one. I followed her career. She now serves over 80 families who can barely afford quality childcare. She shows up every day. She sees those children. She loves them. Dr. Marsh paused. Last month, S's father stood in front of an audience and called her work basically babysitting. He said someone has to watch the toddlers while the real professionals work. He received an award tonight for his 7 years abroad. The same 7 years S spent raising his daughter. The room was silent. S is here tonight. Her name is Sarah Melrose. Every head in that ballroom turned. I could not move. "Sarah, would you stand please?" I stood. My legs were shaking. I could feel them shaking, but I stood. Dr. Melrose received an award tonight for international service from 2012 to 2019. I would like to show you what Sarah was doing during those same years. The screen behind her lit up. Guardianship papers. My signature. Dated June 2012. Medical authorization forms. My signature. School emergency contact forms. Oakland Unified School District. Parent and guardian line. Sarah Melrose. Parent. Parent-teacher conference sign and sheets. Fall 2014. Sarah Melrose. Guardian. Spring 2015. Sarah Melrose. Guardian. Fall 2016. Sarah Melrose. Guardian. 7 years of them. Filed in sequence. My name next to the word guardian over and over and over. Then the Berkeley acceptance letter. Full ride scholarship. Declined. A video began. Melissa's middle school principal. Sarah attended every single parent night. Every conference. I never once had to call to follow up on anything. She was always there. Melissa's orthodontist. Sarah handled every appointment and every payment. She was on a payment plan for 2 years. Never missed a payment. Very responsible guardian. A woman I did not recognize at first. Then I realized she was a parent from Melissa's soccer league. Sarah was at every game. I thought she was the mom. She acted like the mom. It was not until Melissa's graduation that I found out she was the older sister. The screen went dark. Dr. Marsh spoke again. In 2019, Melissa graduated high school and went to college. Sarah was 25. She had spent her entire youth being a parent. Did her family acknowledge this? Did they thank her? She held up a piece of paper. Last September, Sarah got married. Her parents attended. They left at 4:37 in the afternoon, before the cake cutting, before the first dance, to drive to Sacramento for Melissa's physician assistant program brunch the following morning, a brunch that started at 11 a.m. They could have left Sunday morning at 8 and arrived with over an hour to spare. They chose to leave Sarah's wedding early instead. My mother was weeping. Not performing. Actually weeping. My father was staring at his hands, and I had never seen him look like that before, like a man suddenly seeing the shape of something he had been standing too close to for years. Melissa's face was completely white. Melissa did not attend the wedding at all, Dr. Marsh continued. She had a white coat ceremony rehearsal, optional, 30 minutes long, on Friday evening. Sarah's wedding was Saturday afternoon. Melissa posted Instagram stories from a bar with friends Friday night at 9:47. She posted about her family brunch Sunday morning. Caption: Mom and Dad never miss my big moments. Dr. Marsh looked at my sister. Melissa, you were raised by Sarah from age 11 to 18. She signed your forms, paid your bills, attended your conferences, taught you to drive, helped you apply to college, sat with you when you cried, made sure you ate, made sure you slept. She gave up UC Berkeley to do that. And you described those 7 years as boarding at my sister's place. Melissa had both hands over her face. Dr. Marsh turned back to the room. Sarah Melrose was not babysitting. She was parenting. And tonight I am honored to present her with our Foundation's Unsung Heroes Award. Professional Development Funding. A personal award. And this. She held up a framed certificate. Official recognition. Sarah Melrose. For 16 years of service to children. 7 years raising her sister. 8 years serving families who need her most. For showing up when no one else would. For being the foundation when everyone else left. For turning sacrifice into something that looked like strength because there was simply no other option. The room stood. 150 people. Rising. Applauding. Dr. Marsh looked at me. Sarah, would you please come up here? I walked to the stage on legs that barely felt attached to my body. She handed me the award and hugged me. Then she leaned close and whispered in my ear. I kept the Berkeley packet. I kept everything because I knew someday someone would need to know what you chose and what you gave up. Today is that day. She stepped back and handed me the microphone. Would you like to say anything? I looked out at the room. At my parents. At Melissa. I do not have a prepared speech, I said. My voice was steady. I do not know why it was steady, but it was. I just need to say one thing. I was not babysitting Melissa. I was raising her. From the time I was 18 until I was 25. I signed the guardianship papers. I went to the parent-teacher conferences. I paid for her braces. I taught her to drive. I helped her apply to college. I sat with her when she cried. I made sure she ate. I made sure she slept. I was there. I looked at my parents. I was not your backup plan. I was not your extra pair of hands. I was the one raising your child while you built your careers. That was not babysitting. That was my life. 7 years of my life. And I am done pretending it was anything less. The room was silent for one moment. Then it was not. I handed the microphone back to Dr. Marsh. She held my hand for 1 second before she took it. Then I walked back to my table, picked up my purse, and walked out. My mother followed me into the lobby. "Shelley, please, can we talk?" "Not now. We did not know you felt this way. You did not ask. For 13 years, you did not ask. We thought you were okay with the arrangement." I was 18, Mom. I gave up Berkeley. I raised Melissa. And you let me. You took my money and my time and 7 years of my life, and tonight Dad stood up there and called it babysitting. He did not mean it that way. Yes, he did. She reached for me. "Please. I need you to leave." Daniel appeared beside me. He had left his shift, driven straight to the hotel. He was still in his work clothes. "She asked you to leave," he said. My mother looked at him. Then at me. Then she walked away. Melissa approached slowly. Her face was wet. Her hands were shaking. "Sarah, I did not know about the guardianship papers. I did not know about Berkeley. I swear to you I did not know. You called it boarding at my sister's place, Melissa. 7 years. You made it sound like you were crashing on my couch for a while. I was 11. I did not understand what was happening. You are 24 now. You have been an adult for 6 years. You never asked. You never wondered. I am so sorry." "I know," I said. "But I cannot do this right now." I walked away. Daniel drove me home. I did not cry. I stared out the window at the freeway lights and thought about Dr. Marsh keeping that Berkeley packet in a folder for 14 years because she believed that someday the truth would need a document to stand on. When we got to our apartment, I finally spoke. "She kept it," I said. "For 14 years she kept it." "Someone needed to," Daniel said. That night I sent an email. Subject line, "Boundaries going forward. Mom, Dad, and Melissa. I need space. I do not know for how long. What I do know is that I was Melissa's legal guardian from age 18 to 25. That is documented. I contributed $37,450 to this family over 13 years. That is documented. I gave up Berkeley and 7 years of my youth. That is real. You consistently chose Melissa over me. That is a pattern. I am not asking for apologies right now. I am asking for space. When and if you are ready to genuinely acknowledge what those 7 years were, not helping out, not boarding, but parenting, we can talk. Until then, please do not contact me. Daniel and I are building a life and we cannot keep being your emergency fund." I hit send. All 3 opened it within 10 minutes. Nobody responded. Tell me in the comments. Have you ever had to send a message like that? Have you ever had to put in writing the things that should have been said out loud years earlier? Have you ever had to choose your own peace over keeping the peace for everyone else? And if you have dealt with something similar, share your story. You are not alone. Subscribe for more stories about standing your ground and reclaiming your life. Because the story does not end with the email. 3 days after the gala, something appeared on my desk at the learning center where I teach. A manila envelope. No return address. Inside were printed copies of the guardianship papers from the ceremony. Melissa's high school diploma with my signature on the back as guardian. And photographs I had never seen before. Me at Melissa's 8th grade graduation. Me at her high school orientation. Me at her first day of college drop-off. In every single one I was the one holding the camera. Taking the photo. Always just behind the frame. Melissa had kept all of them. And there was a letter. 3 pages. Handwritten. Sarah, it started. I do not expect you to forgive me. I do not expect you to even read this. But I need to say it. I found the guardianship forms. I never knew they existed. I was 11 when this started, and by the time I was old enough to understand what had actually happened, I had already rewritten it in my head. I called it staying with you. I called it boarding. I made it small because small was easier than facing what it really was. You were my mother for 7 years. You were 18. I was 11. And you gave up everything. I used to tell people my parents worked abroad. I never said my sister raised me. I never said Sarah signed my permission slips. I never said Sarah taught me to drive. I erased you from my own story. And I am so sorry. I cannot give you back Berkeley. I cannot give you back your 20s. I cannot give you back the $37,000 or the 7 years. But I can stop pretending those years were anything other than what they were. You raised me. You parented me. You loved me when our parents chose their careers over both of us. I am not asking you to call me. I am not asking for anything right now. I just needed you to know that I see it. I see what you did. I see what it cost. And I am going to spend the rest of my life trying to be worth it. I love you. I am sorry it took me this long to understand what that should mean. Melissa. P.S. I am looking for a therapist who specializes in family systems. I need to understand how I became someone who took so much and saw so little. I do not want to be her anymore. I read that letter 3 times sitting at my desk during my lunch break, and by the 3rd time I was weeping in a way that had nothing to do with sadness. It was the particular release of something you have been carrying alone for so long that you had forgotten it had a weight. Daniel found me still holding it when he got home that evening. Good crying or bad crying? He asked. I do not know, I said. Both. He sat down next to me. That is allowed. I kept the letter. I put it in my desk drawer. I did not respond. Not yet. Maybe not for a while. But I kept it. Because keeping things matters. Dr. Marsh taught me that. The following Monday I went back to the learning center. The director hugged me when I walked in. I saw the video, she said. I send it to every family in our program. You want to know what they said? What? They said they finally understand why you are so good at this. You have been doing it since you were 18. One of the mothers stopped me at drop-off that morning. Miss Sarah, I watched the ceremony. My daughter says you are the best teacher she has ever had. Now I know why. You have been showing up for children your whole life. I smiled. Thank you. No, she said. Thank you. Daniel's mother Claire threw a dinner that week. Just family. Their family. Their loud, warm, chaotic, wonderful family that had somehow become mine. Glenn raised his glass at the table. To Sarah, he said, who showed up for everyone else for 16 years. Tonight we show up for her. Welcome to our family. Really, truly, ours. Everyone clinked glasses. I looked around the table at the noise and the warmth and the people who had chosen me on purpose, and I felt something I had been waiting a very long time to feel. Home. The next day I brought the shadow box Claire had made for me, my guardianship papers framed behind glass, to my classroom and hung it on the wall next to my teaching credential. I stood back and looked at both of them for a moment. My 18-year-old signature on those guardianship papers. The girl who had chosen her sister over everything she had worked for. I did not regret her choice. But I was not her anymore. I was 31. Married. Teaching. Building a life with people who saw me, who chose me, who showed up. Outside my classroom door I could hear my students arriving. 18 4-year-olds getting ready for morning circle. Loud, chaotic, joyful, completely unaware of everything that had happened and completely unbothered by it. I opened the door. They ran in. Good morning, Miss Sarah. Good morning, friends. Who is ready to learn? Every hand went up. I smiled. This was my work. Not babysitting. Teaching. Loving. Showing up. The same thing I had been doing since I was 18 years old, standing at a notary counter signing my name next to the word guardian. The truth has a voice now. And it is mine.